State Senator Susan Moran is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. Her district in Plymouth and Barnstable front and center on headline-making issues from the migrant housing crisis to the impacts from climate change and extreme weather. The senator's in the chair. It's time to go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR, everyone. I'm Ed Harding, along with Newsletter 5's political reporter, Sharma Sacchetti. It's great to have you with us this morning. And as you can see, joining us at the table this morning is State Senator Susan Moran. She is a Democrat. She represents Plymouth and Barnstable, first taking office back in 2020. She is the chair of the Joint Committee on Revenue, resident of Falmouth, where she served on the Board of Selectmen. She holds degrees from Tufts University and Suffolk Law School. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us on the record this morning.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right, thanks for being here. And so Governor Healey has declared a state of emergency over the migrant housing crisis. Thousands of families, they are in emergency shelters. Joint Base Cape Cod is at capacity. Now, Governor Healey criticized the White House and the federal government for a federal crisis of inaction. So first question I want to ask you, was declaring a state of emergency the right move?
Absolutely agree. We are in crisis mode. We know that housing has been in crisis in general for a while. We have programs to house veterans. We have programs to house families who are in need, individuals who are in need, and we are bubbling over. It is a humanitarian effort at this point. In my district, we have folks in Bourne. We have had folks in Kingston for a while now, some of which have found housing and moved on to jobs. So it's going to be a long process. The governor was smart.
I want to ask you about that because the governor also wants the federal government to start moving a little quicker to authorize, to have these work authorizations for immigrants. Immigrants who come here, they do want to work, but they can't because the federal government hasn't moved on it. Do you think the Biden administration is listening?
I do, because it's one of the things that we discussed when the First Lady was just in Provincetown. And so knowing firsthand that we have a workforce crisis, at the same time we have a crisis of folks who need homes, putting those together.
So you discussed this with the First Lady?
We discussed childcare. We discussed workforce needed. So she's aware, and I think that's going to be very helpful in getting President Biden to take quicker action as the governor has demanded.
Let's talk about the next one. A Republican candidate for state senate, current state rep Peter Durant wants the right to shelter law repealed. He says that it makes Massachusetts a magnet state. His word, magnet. How do you respond to that?
Well, certainly the decision years ago to be a shelter state it has really changed when we look at the flood of people now coming to Massachusetts. So the reasons behind it, I think Massachusetts certainly still believes in sheltering families and being sure they're safe. With the influx coming from Florida and other places,
right.
We just need to grow it, do it better. What the governor's done recently is asked individual communities to open up homes if you have availability. We've done it for years. Particularly in my district, Cape Cod baseball, folks come into our homes.
Right.
When the Falmouth Road Race, folks come into our homes. So we've got to get more creative. The new secretary, Augustus, is an incredible guy. He's a former mayor. He knows how to manage this, and we've got to step up, but the federal government does too.
You mentioned Florida. I'm just curious, what was your reaction to Ron DeSantis of sending the migrants to the vineyard? And it seemed to be a political move, in my opinion, based on what he wanted to do. What's your reaction?
It seemed to be a political move to me as well. I think it was horrific. I think it was abusive. Right now, the DA, Rob Galliboy, in Barnstable, is looking at really targeting criminal charges and what he can do to help in that regard. And the idea of putting young children, I know in Kingston, we had pregnant mothers arrive that we had to quickly move to the hospital. There was my rep in the area, Kathy Lenatra, was there bringing diapers, and I was calling the chief of police who had no knowledge that folks were even coming at this point. It's better now. Certainly Governor Healy has gotten a process. It's more organized. We know more about health circumstances, what folks need to eat, what folks need in terms of schooling, and the government is stepping up in being sure those resources are there. But we need more. It's a huge problem.
All right, well, let's talk about climate change. This has certainly been a summer of extreme weather, and much of it has been tied to climate change. Marston's Mills on Cape Cod, one of 2 communities hit by tornadoes. We've seen torrential rains and terrible flooding across the state this year in the last couple of months. Now, you've made climate change one of your core issues. Do you think the state is doing enough?
We really need to support our first responders. We saw pictures this morning on Facebook of boats overturned from another storm just last evening. When the hurricane weather hit, across the street from me, there was a business that the whole community depends on, completely flooded. They had to close. It's an economic issue. We should be putting some more resources into local communities who know where these storms are going to really be targeted.
For what? What would you like to see these resources?
So, when we look at DPW, simple things like preparedness, storm preparedness, drains. What there really right now isn't personnel or enough money to pay attention to that while we're trying to look at putting, for example, workers for school buses. We're getting ready for schools. We've got to learn to multitask more.
But the way the climate has adjusted, for example, 7 inches of rain in roughly 7 hours up in North Attleboro. Any system that's going to overwhelm any system.
It is. So are we looking at moving away from the coast? That's something that we've got to consider. When we have roadways that continuously wash away, look at Sandwich, also in my district.
Right.
The boardwalk, it's iconic. What do? Do we let that go, or do we keep putting money into it? It's something that taxpayers really have to decide where they want to spend their money.
So the next item is you represent parts of the Cape and Plymouth, as we mentioned in the introduction. So we have to talk about the bridges, right? I mean, because this is the common use thing that we all get involved with. Last month, the U.S. Senate included $350 million in funding in an appropriations bill. It's estimated it'll take $4 billion to complete the project. So do you feel Washington is behind? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, do you feel Washington is behind this massive effort?
Yes. In terms of our representation, Senators Markey, Warren, Congressman Keating, we talk about it weekly, and we meet. We brought the town of Bourne officials, everyone in the state together in Senator Markey's office, anticipating what's next. The DOT took an original swipe at trying to get more money, got some feedback. That's a continuing effort.
Is it going to be a fight to the finish? I mean, it would seem that this finish line has to be attained somehow, but is it going to be a fight to get to that finish line?
It is going to be a fight for resources because there are needs all over the country, but we're going to win this fight because we have to. The bridges are certainly they're something great transportation resource. Their time is over. There are accidents. They're dangerous. They're too narrow. It's scary bouncing over there. Sometimes everybody knows that feeling.
Right.
It's great to get to Cape Cod, but it's getting more and more worrisome.
Why is it taking so long to get this money? I think a lot of people who drive over those bridges every single day wonder if this is going to get done in their lifetime.
Well, it's competition for the money, but it doesn't mean that nothing is being done right now. The governor, in fact, gave a lot more money in terms of matching funds, looking at planning. We've got to look at, are there better on-ramp sites? Where are they going to be sited? We have a lot of public outreach in terms of what should they look like? How wide should there be? Should there be bicycles? In my meeting, I encouraged the designers, think big. We're going to look at this for the next 80, 100 years. I want to see solar possibilities. If we're doing perhaps a solar-run commuter train, just think big and really put an investment into the way we want to live our lives in Massachusetts and the Cape. And
just anecdotally, I have ridden a bike over the bridge.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, in the Pan Mass Challenge.
That's brave.
And it was, I held my breath. I'm going to be honest with you. I held my breath.
That's a long ride, too. People don't realize on a bike it's quite a way.
Yeah.